everyone, my name is Ekaterina Kazachenko. Let's start our English lesson. Today we are going to speak about past perfect. We will also practice past perfect affirmative and negative forms. Today we will speak about holiday and traveling. What can we do on holidays? Look, yes, we can go swimming. Or we can go camping. And also we can climb the mount. Some people can make a pilgrimage or even explore new places. Good. Look at these two pictures. Do you know these people? This is Marco Polo and Yuri Gagarin. Marco Polo was Italian traveler and Yuri Gagarin was Russian cosmonaut. Now study the sentences about Marco Polo and Yuri Gagarin. Then choose the correct words in the rules. You have 1 minute. First, let's look at the sentence about Marco Polo. By the time he returned in Venice in 1295, Marco Polo had traveled almost 24,000 kilometers. Now, look at the sentence about Yuri Gagarin. Gagarin had flown in a plane hundreds of times, but he had never flown in a spacecraft. Now, let's look at the rules. Rule A. We form the past perfect with have or had and a past participle. Right, we should use auxiliary had. Rule B. We form negative sentence with not or ever or never. Right, we should put never. Rule C. We use the past perfect to talk about an action that happened before or after another action in the past. That's right. Before. Now let's look at past perfect tense in details. Past perfect is used to talk about an action which happened before another action in the past. Let's look at the example. Mom had baked a cake before the party started. Let's look at the timeline. Mom baked a cake first, and only then the party started. So, to show that Mom baked a cake earlier than the party started, we should put this verb into past perfect form. Past perfect is also used to talk about an action which happened before a stated time in the past. Look at the example. Lenny had done his work by 7 o'clock. Let's look at the timeline. We can see that the action had finished before 7 o'clock in the past. Lenny probably started doing his homework earlier, maybe at 5 o'clock. And by the time in the past, by 7 o'clock, he had done it. So, we should put the verb into past perfect form. Now, let's see how we form past perfect affirmative sentences. We should use auxiliary had plus past participle. If the verb is regular, we should add ending ed. If the verb is irregular, we should use third form or verb from the third column. Now see how we form past perfect negatives. Again, we should use auxiliary head with negative particle not or adverb never and with past participle with the same rules. Now let's look at the most common time expressions in past perfect. They are the following: after, before, by, when, as soon as, and by the time. Well done. Now let's practice. Look at task number 1. Write sentences using the past perfect affirmative and negative. Let's look at the example first. By the age of 30, Captain James Cook had visited many exotic places, but he not been to Australia. We can see that this sentence is negative. Be is irregular verb, so we should put not be into negative past perfect form. Keep in mind that we should use the third form of the verb be. Hadn't been. What we have? By the age of 30, Captain James Cook had visited many exotic places, but he hadn't been to Australia. So, do the same with sentences 1 to 5. You have 5 minutes. Now, let's check. Sentence number 1 is negative. The verb see is irregular, so we should put it into past perfect negative form. Hadn't seen. The Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama hadn't seen penguins before he traveled to South Africa in 1497. Sentence number 2 is positive. The verb make is irregular as well, so we should put it into past perfect affirmative form. Had made. After he had made a pilgrimage to the city of Mecca in 1325, Ibn Battuta decided to become an explorer. Sentence number 3 is positive again. The verb try is regular, so put it into past perfect affirmative form. Had tried. Many explorers had tried to climb Mount Everest before Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary reached the peak in 1953. Sentence number 4 is negative. The verb eat is irregular, so put it into past perfect negative form. People in Europe hadn't eaten potatoes until Christopher Columbus brought some from America. And the last sentence, number 5. It's positive, so we should put the regular verb sail into past perfect affirmative form. Had sailed. More than 400 years after Magellan had sailed around the world, the US submarine Triton made a similar journey underwater. Well done. Good job. Now, let's look at task number 2. Here you should choose the correct words. For this task you have 4 minutes. Now, let's check. Sentence number 1. I didn't want to watch the film about Marco Polo because I had seen it before. It's obvious that the first action was I had seen the film before, so that's why I didn't want to watch it. So we should use past perfect in this sentence. Look at sentence number 2. When she got to the airport, she realized that she had forgotten her passport at home. The first action was that she had forgotten her passport, and only then she got to the airport. Sentence number 3. The train had already left when we arrived at the station. First, the train had left, and only then we arrived at the station. So we should put the verb in past simple form. Sentence number 4. I was nervous because I hadn't flown before. So, I hadn't flown before is the first action. That is why I was nervous. So we should use past perfect. Sentence number 5. Gulnara showed me the photos she had taken in a plane before. Here again, first Gulnara had taken photos and only then she showed them. So we should put the verb into past perfect form. The last sentence, number 6. We had lived in Nurdin for 5 years before we moved to Osh. Here, first we had lived in Nurdin for 5 years and only after that we moved to Osh. So we should use just past simple form. Well done, good job. Now let's look at task number 3. Here you should decide which action in the past took place first and which took place second. Make the sentence with the expression in the box. First, let's do together. I took an aspirin, I felt better. Let's decide which action happened first. Of course, first I took an aspirin. That is why I felt better. Now, let's make up the sentence with when. When I had taken an aspirin, I felt better. Don't forget that the action that happened earlier should be put into past perfect form. For the next sentence, you have 1 minute. Now, let's see what we have. Which action happened first? We locked the door or we called a taxi? Of course, first we called a taxi and only then we locked the door. So, the verb called should be put into past perfect form. don't forget to start the sentence with before. Before we locked the door, we had called a taxi. Good job. For the next sentence, you have another minute. Let's check. Which action happened first? Of course. First, it stopped raining, and only then we took our dog for a walk. So, it stopped raining should be put into past perfect form. As soon as it had stopped raining, we took our dog for a walk. Good. Another minute for the next sentence. So, let's check. Which action happened first? Of course. Firstly, he saw an accident, and only then he spoke to a policeman. So, he saw an accident should be put into past perfect form. After he had seen an accident, he spoke to a policeman. Well done. Good job. Now, let's look at task number 4. Here, you should complete the sentences using the past perfect and your own ideas. Look at the example. I was tired because... and my own idea. I was tired because I hadn't slept well. Don't forget to put the verb into past perfect form. For this exercise, you have 5 minutes. Now, let's see what sentences you have. I will read my own sentences. The sentence number 1. By the time I was 10, I had learned to swim. Sentence number 2. They were late because they had missed the bus. Sentence number 3. Before I went out, it had started to rain. I couldn't call you because I had forgotten my phone at home. And the last sentence. When I read an email, I realized that I had missed important meeting. So, that's all for today. Don't forget to use past perfect when you say something happened earlier than the action stated in the past. Thank you very much and have a good day. Goodbye.